So, you know, obviously I'm not racist. I judge people according to their actions. Can't go over this enough. There's whites and Jews in my family. I'm part white. My mom looks very much like she's Jewish-ish, but and I've kind of been a little bit confused about this, and so on and so forth over time. But I don't naturally look like a Jew, so on and so forth. So you say, well, why are the whites, Jews, and LGBT people doing this to you? I think John 8 really sheds a lot of light on it. I urge you all to read John 8. It puts it in a way that's pretty simple, but there's other connections there. It's their inclinations, you know. What the Church of Satan, obviously I hate the Church of Satan, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? What they're about is people looking inside themselves, and they see the devil in themselves. Okay, and it's not the same, you know. It's really the church. All churches are basically the Church of Satan, and they see the same thing. That's why they say they're all born sinners. But that argument is complete bullshit. Some of us are born more inclined to being kind of friendly to people, to being helpful. You know what I'm saying? That's why people say, oh, that guy's a good guy. Because it's not as simple as we're all born sinners. I'm not born a sinner. You know what I'm saying? I was a little mischievous when I was younger, but my nature is good. So why they're doing this to me is like, where do serial killers come from? The ones who don't seem to have a traumatic history. Because a lot of times it is trauma in life and it triggered something else. You know, why do some people say, hey, you know what I'm saying, I don't want that to happen to anyone else? And some people say, hey, I'm going to, you know, do this, that, and the other thing to people. So why they're persecuting me has to do with, you know, their evil nature. And they're cultivating that evil nature. They said to themselves that they're Satanists, okay, and that they're going to do witchcraft and they're going to have carnal desire. So when you look at the religion of the world, it is like the Church of Satan. It's one of the easiest points of references to explain it. What is the church's actual religion? All the churches, Protestants, Catholics, you know, synagogues, mosques. It is carnal desire. It is finding their life, and it is their complexes, right? They do what's best for them. That's one of the tenets, you know, in their minds, and it's evil. It's one of the tenets of the Church of Satan is these guys talk about doing what's best for them, and standing firm in regards to their territory, right? Their household. They said if someone disrespects you in your household, destroy them. Some of these guys said that in one of these satanic factions. It's very petty. It's like a dog, right? That's why in English, the word God is dog spelled backwards, because they don't think the bigger picture. They don't live life for eternity. They live life for that life. And they think based on their complexes and emotions, right? The E words. E in Sumerian is temple, right? Fatty, sissy, pansy, right? You know what I'm saying? Crazy, right? They're easily triggered, okay? They're bitchy, right? It's that. They don't think in terms of being a man. They think in terms of reacting based on their kind of satanic religion. And so, you know what I'm saying, when they say Satan's the God of this world, that's every group, you know? But if some of your groups are going to go harder and you're going to insist that you're the main ones persecuting me, or you're going to try to scapegoat other people, then I have to speak on that, or else I'm not doing people justice. So I got to do my best to speak on it. You see what I'm saying? And do my best to get the message out. You know, to put a lamp on its stand, okay? And like it says in Matthew 5, I believe it is, let your good deeds shine before others, right? That's what the lamp is, a lamp of justice and doing God justice, light of justice, good deeds, right? The sun is compared to it, but it's really the spirit of doing justice, intense. You know, the sun is intense, focus, moral intensity, right? God is a consuming fire, mighty God, it's intense and mighty. So a lot of these people, you know, are betas. These people are brutes. They're very flesh-based. A lot of times their form takes on it's the form of their mental expression, right? Movement, ment meaning mind. And that's why, that's part of why they're poisoning me and fueling me to change my form, because they think that way. You see what I'm saying? And they force me to fire back, because when a king sits on his throne to judge, he winnows out evils with his eyes, right? He communicates, you know, that he doesn't approve of evil. He communicates, he makes the contrast, right? The eyes, and the sun and the moon are said to be like eyes. You see what I'm saying? The right eye of Horus is said to be like the sun, and the left eye like the moon. And this is, you know, there's a lot of pagan confusion, but that has truth in terms of patterns of nature. I can't emphasize the importance of that enough. Nature is telling you something. That's how man got. Okay, so I was cut off in the last clip. I can't emphasize that enough. Nature has patterns that are telling you something. okay? And that includes animals, that includes the sky, that includes various things, even bugs, okay? So people, in order for man to get to the point where they had religion, in terms of organized religion, in terms of getting their thoughts together, they first studied nature. That's why it's so much in the Bible, right? The true vine, the sun, the symbol of the bridegroom, the heavens, okay? The stars, you know, we talk about weeds, the parable of the weeds, you know, the things they find in nature, pearls, okay, gold, and the waves, and the water, and fire, okay? It is something that man studied to get to the point of understanding, okay? And martial arts was like the bell that rings the loudest. So how do you understand things? You do martial arts with justice in your heart. That's how you understand God, because God is the source of justice. Psalm 50, right? God is a God of justice. The Lord is exalted by his justice. So as they don't do me justice, what happens? Okay, they're embracing the principles of evil. Then they breed that. It's like a path in nature. Even deer paths are telling us something about why we're here. Parrots try to communicate with you. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to communicate, because the message is God is trying to communicate in nature. You know what I'm saying? And some people, you know, they have all kinds of theories, if I remember correctly, of why they do that. But the message to primitive man is that God is trying to communicate to you. Okay? You see horses, right? People start riding horses. Where did they get that idea, right? They were studying nature, medicine man. You know, they talk about shamans and all this stuff. They're studying nature, right? What is witchcraft? It's people who study nature, realized it was a martial art order, got pissed off, and started to pretend that they were important. And there's a long history of people doing magic tricks that way predates Western magic tricks. You know what I'm saying? As far as what is known about magic tricks, it goes way back. People doing stupid magic tricks. And you talk about gypsies and being gypped. And again, I'm not racist, just saying what the facts are. This is a situation, okay? So, you know, they talk about Set as the god of jealousy, and Zeus, you know, jealousy, confusion, rape, storms, and a bunch of other stuff, right? Brute force, you know what I'm saying? Forcing people to, forcible rape, what have you. Okay, Zeus is Set's Greek equivalent, and he was the king of the gods in Greece. And Jupiter is his Roman equivalent, and he was the king of the gods in Rome. And then Baal was of great importance. He was the king of the gods in his own right. So was El, his in some versions his father. You know, and that means that all these places, right, where Set is said to rule, and then said Satan is the god of this world. Now, who is his true arch rival? Okay, Set fought with himself, right? But his true arch rival is Horus, because it's the martial art order. Horus is superimposed on the Royal African Falcon martial art order. Okay, even the word Horus is like a Greek word, if I remember correctly. Okay, and you see these guys were Afrocentric guys. They talk about Asar, Aset, and Heru, right? Her, you, right? Because they're LGBT aligned, and we see the Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth. Okay, so who is Horus? Actually, he's a masculine Black African king. Okay, from a certain spiritual line that will not exist after I'm gone, and it's obvious. Even if you never met me, when you look at the rest of the world, you say, none of you guys are Horus. You're playing a stupid game. You're using technology. You're LGBT people. How could the top martial artist ever, how could the god of war and justice and truth be an LGBT person? Can you imagine? It's like, that's part of why LGBT and the circus is connected, because they're not that. They're not the pinnacle of martial arts. They're not the pinnacle of masculinity. Okay, they're gay. They don't take things seriously. Horus is also called in some of his versions, the son of Isis and so on, and Osiris, the Avenger. Okay, the golden horse, right? These are ideas superimposed on characteristics of the Royal African Falcon, top martial arts king, right? So Horus is also a deity of kings, of Pharaoh. Okay, so who is Pharaoh? He's the king of kings. And they talk about Jesus, the king of kings, but before Jesus was Pharaoh. In fact, before Nimrod, depending on what time period you put Nimrod in, was Pharaoh, right? Was Horus. So before, in a sense, before, you know, Nimrod is superimposed on the Royal African Falcon martial art order, and Horus in his various forms is also superimposed on that. So you can see, and people have various shapes, right? Talk about the temple. Jesus talked about the body. His body was his temple. Well, what is a temple in the first place? What is a church, right? You use your body to communicate. There's all kinds of reasons why that is a pervasive religious idea. You know, you see where the pyramids, you see the Sphinx, right? And has some kind of body that's merged with some kind of structure-like shape. Okay, it's like a mixture between a structure and a kind of, combination of animal and human. Okay, and people have all kinds of theories. Say it's a lion, it's a woman, and all kinds. They say all kinds of things. It really doesn't matter what it is, because it's just humans trying to express something. Before the Egyptians, I am, right? They're just people who are trying to understand nature. And I am the pinnacle. That's why Horus is a god of war. He's not a god of construction and masonry and witchcraft. I mean, these things are child's play compared to war and compared to true martial spiritual war. I talk about the stick-fighting priest of Osiris. They talk about Horus with a spear, right? Spearing set in the form of a boar. What is a boar? It's a brute force animal. So these people like to try to interfere and say, no, I want to say it instead of him and act like bitches. And it's extremely disgraceful. Can you imagine, being so disgraced that you think that you should interfere with the process, being such a jealous worm, being so scared to man up without a speck of masculinity? That's really what, LGBT thinking and paganism is about. It's about the rejection, first and foremost, of African masculinity. And that's why in Western culture, where we get the major LGBT movements, they describe black people as hyper masculine. Some black people. So they say toxic masculinity, and they say the black person is hyper masculine, and of course he's disproportionately incarcerated. And just like Hillary Clinton, there's no shortage of liberals who spoke bad about black people, okay, and spoke in a way that reflected their insistence on white kind of fraternity thinking and who would fraternize with who, and sororities are like pagan witches. And how many sorority chicks are? How many people graduate from sororities every year? And how many of them are there at any given time? How many females are in fraternal orders like the Eastern Star? How many of them are in the Sigma, Alpha, Kappa, whatever the fuck bitch shit they're in? Okay, how many of them are there? Okay, and do they respect the Royal African Falcon top martial arts or no? One of the main reasons females shun me is because there's some sorority Greek geek society punk ass bitches, right? They don't have heart. Okay, they're shallow. What does it mean to be shallow? It means to reject the pinnacle of what it means to be deep, which is the Royal African Falcon top martial artist, king of kings. Okay, the shallow chick's like, I prefer my Barbie-like dream, right? My princess complex. So they want to be the princess. Whose princess? They want to be Christ Romeo, so to speak, the mulatto Royal African Falcon top martial artist ever? No. They want to be some shallow Prince Humperdinck bitch-ass Lex Luthor type punks, slut, who's glorified by other sluts in sororities. Okay, and this is when you say maybe they're mad at you because you've been saying this. They've been persecuting me since I was a little kid. Before I was saying anything about anybody, before I even knew the Jews were part of a great conspiracy, before I talked about frats and all this, they were already persecuting me. Okay, so you can't look at the person defending himself and describing things with the expected contempt and disdain that they brought upon themselves, and why disgracing their families and doing the stuff that they do, and then say, hey, that's why. Okay, so they have all kinds of things that they've created because they're deceivers. There's so many things I could correct, but we should already know, just like we know the sun is hot, you should already know that I'm God's son. You should already know that they're changing my voice. You should already know that I'm persecuted. You should already know I'm the top martial artist ever. If you know the sun is hot, because you should have your natural senses, right? I talk about the essential alpha essence to sense the presence of God. The essential, the essence, the essential alpha essence. Okay? So when you see the essence among you, you see the essence around you, and you say, hey, I don't understand what he's saying. I don't know who this person, I don't know him. Okay? One of the dumbest things females ever said to me, is I don't know you. And that's your problem in a nutshell. Is that you don't know greatness when it comes around you till all you can say is some dumb sorority-trained slut response like, I don't know you, right? It's some Minnie Mouse, Babs Bunny, bitch shit.